Hi there, Scott Hamilton, ROCKFILE, back with another podcast review for your ears. Going to be talking about episodes 1 and 2 of the new Marvel series, Moon Knight. This is one Marvel character I really don't know anything about. I thought he was very cool when he came out, but it was after I was kind of not in the comics I was reading when he was coming out, and then I was out of comics. Anyway, I really wasn't going to review this show. I thought the first episode was all set up. I really enjoyed it. I like the psychological aspect, the thriller aspect, the nearly horror movie aspect of it. But after it was over, I was like, well, I'll wait. I just wasn't enthused enough to, as a podcaster who's now gotten in the habit of releasing something every other day, I try and stay ahead. I watch movies over the weekends and do several podcasts at a time kind of thing so I can keep up with it. And so, I wasn't going to do an episodic Moon Knight thing because that seems like, he's looking for something short to talk about to have another podcast or whatever. So as I've said before, I need to be excited about something. I need to feel the passion to want to sit down at the microphone and talk about it for 10 minutes or whatever. So the first episode of Moon Knight did not do that to me. I mean, I did like it. I think Oscar Isaac is amazing. I've always liked him as an actor. And in this, he's really getting to stretch a little bit because he's having to do a lot. I mean, he changes his face and you can tell he's a different version of the character. It's cool. So I won't get into too many spoilers, but if you've read what the show is about, it's about a dude that kind of has a fractured personality. And one of them may be this mercenary that's kind of a servant of an Egyptian god. And as it plays out, the first episode, it's very interesting. You don't really know what's going on. You're kind of dropped into this universe. He doesn't know what's going on, and he blacks out and wakes up in strange places, and people are beaten up, and it really is disorienting. And I think that was the whole purpose. But when the episode ends, you're like, okay, we get to see Moon Knight, but we don't know how we got there and what this means. And, it's not that the episode wasn't satisfying, but it wasn't completely satisfying. It was like, and now after seeing episode 2, they probably should have showed the 2 episodes back to back because episode 2 is amazing. Now, I would love to say it's the directors. Benson and Moorhead are 2 of my favorite directors. I think I have just about podcast reviewed every movie they've made. Spring, The Endless, Synchronic. They're 2 directors who I really respect, and they recently have done some other things, writing some other things and stretching a little bit, and I heard they were on the Moon Knight show. Now, the showrunner is a man from Egypt, so we know that the show is going to get those kind of things right. But I didn't know how they were going to introduce the 2 directors. Well, as I was watching this episode, I said, this has to be them. Because the style of the episode is a little different. I mean, obviously, there's hundreds of people bringing the show to life, and they all agreed on this vision of the artwork is predetermined and all that kind of stuff. But camera angles, moods, that kind of thing, that all changes when they're out there shooting this. And some of the camera angles here, it just kind of elevated. I know we were trying to get more out of Ethan Hawke's character anyway, but man, the way they shot him a couple of times was just like, wow, that's just epic looking. The same thing with the aforementioned Egyptian god, which is almost got this kind of Spawn thing. F. Murray Abraham is doing the voice, and he'll speak out at certain times that Oscar Isaac's character can hear. So Oscar Isaac so far is playing 2 characters. In the first episode, he's the nice guy who's, the librarian character. He works in a gift shop in a museum, and he's a big Egypt aficionado. And then he shares his psyche. He sees in mirrors this other character who seems to have it together and is cool and all this kind of stuff. And as we find out, he's got a wife and a whole lot more, and a secret hideout, kind of. But like I said, first episode just felt like a lot of buildup, we're laying the groundwork. Didn't really think we were going to jump right into it in episode 2, and they did. This episode from beginning to end was just a thrill ride. It was excellent. You'll learn more about the Oscar Isaac thing. You find out about the wife. I mean, the 2 characters that inhabit Oscar Isaac. We're learning more and more. We finally get to see him fully decked out. We get some big fight scenes. We get to see Ethan Hawke do some magic. I mean, it really, as an episode, I was like, wow, okay, yeah, I have to go do podcast now. I literally just finished it. And I have to mention, doing my podcast from Alaska now, throughout the winter, it was easy to come in here and do a podcast because it was getting dark at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'd get home from work and I'd eat dinner and I'd watch a movie and then I'd do a podcast and it'd be dark and I'd have that cool mood going on. Well, it's 8:30, 9 o'clock in the middle of the week and it's still bright daylight here. We're heading towards summer where we're going to have almost 20 hours of daylight during the day. And it's quite a bit different than it has been the last few months. We're gaining 5+ minutes every single day. Yeah, think about that. It's a couple hours a month. So yeah, by June, we're going to be dark for like 5 hours, where during the middle of winter, we were light for 5 hours. So it's different. But anyway, recording podcasts in the light's just not my cup of tea. I don't know why, but it feels like it's midday, and it's not. So Moon Knight now has my complete attention. Like I said, being the big Marvel fan I was, he was somebody that came along later, and I never really read the comics. I always thought he was cool. I'd seen the action figures. I've seen the comics, and I have friends that are big fans, but I just never read it. I just didn't know. I just thought he was really cool looking. And when we first see him in the second episode, as Oscar Isaac first turns into him, as the meek Steven character turns more into the Mark character, and he manifests a suit. Not a superhero suit, but an actual suit, white, of course. And it looks great with the glowing eyes, but then he eventually gets the full-on battle suit or whatever it is. The special effects were good, although the hyena could be better. It kind of looked like 10, 12-year-old CGI. But maybe they spent all the money on Moon Knight because he looks incredible. And when the suit is summoned and manifests itself, it looks great. All in all, I think we only have 6 episodes, which really blows because episode 2 I'm totally in now and I want more. Should they have shown these 2 episodes back to back as a pilot? Yes, or an opening movie, or watch the first, because everybody would have been glued. But I think it's interesting. People did like it after the first episode. They're going to be all talking about this in the morning. Wow. So I wanted to go ahead and get this down before any reviews or anybody else posted. I just watched it this afternoon. Anyway, got a big weekend coming up, and more podcast reviews coming up. I just heard that my 4K copy of RoboCop shipped. I can't wait. It comes out next Tuesday. I think I get it Monday, so I'll try and get the podcast up really quick. It's been restored, and it's one of my all-time favorite movies. I can't wait. And then the next week, I think I'm getting the 4K version Heavy Metal, which I don't know how good that animation is going to look in 4K, but it should sound tremendous. That and more podcasts coming up. I've got a whole slew of them, so get ready. I'm Scott Hamilton. I'm ROCKFILE. My links are below. Thanks for checking this out. Have a spectacular day, and thank you for listening.